Hey trappers, Dale Billingsley here, Billingsley Brand Lures. So what I want to show you today, it's kind of a nasty, rainy, just kind of an all-around nasty day outside. So I got this old beaver that I thawed out, and I thought I would show you my technique at skinning beaver. So stay with me, we'll be back here in just a minute. Okay, so the first things I like to have when I'm skinning beaver especially, you're going to need yourself a good knife, sharp knife for cutting feet and tail off. I don't leave the tail on them. So this is just a Rada paring knife, 4-inch paring knife. Absolutely for the money, probably one of the best skinning knives you can get. They're like $8, $9 a piece. They're made right here in Waverly, Iowa. Hold an edge on them tremendously well. I can open about 300 coon with this thing before I have to toss it off to the side and get a new one to where it just won't hold an edge anymore. So like I said, for the money, you can't beat that. So you need one of those. Then you need yourself a good beaver skinning knife. Now you can skin. Nothing's saying you can't skin a beaver with a knife like this. It just makes the job a little bit tougher. So get yourself a good beaver skinning knife. There's all kinds of them on the market. Post. Dexter Russell makes a good one for the money for $10. It holds an edge just fine. Does a real good job. This one I got from Trapper Paul up in Michigan years and years and years ago. I probably had this knife 30 years or close to it. Again, this is just a refurbished knife that he's made into a beaver knife. At the time, I paid $10 for it. And I've used it 30 years, and I don't know, I've skinned a pile of beaver with it. I mean, a pile. So I've more than well got my money's worth. So get yourself a good beaver knife. It'll make the job a lot easier for you. The other thing you need, if I can lay my hands on it, there it is, a new beaver. Hey, you don't have to use one of these, but again, it does make the job a lot easier. This is a carpenter's knife or a utility knife with a shingle cutting blade in it, and it's hooked. Now they make two different styles of these. They make one with a narrow hook and make one with a wide hook. You're going to want the wide one because the hair doesn't wad up in it quite as bad as it does in the narrow one. Again, for $10, $11, makes the job of unzipping a beaver a whole lot easier. Pick yourself one up, you're going to be glad you did. And then the other thing is just a good sharpening steel. That's all you need. Just touch your knife up every now and then when you need it. Makes things a whole lot easier. With that being said, let's skin a beaver. So the first thing you want to do is make sure your knife's got a good edge on it, good and sharp. I can tell by the sound of this one that it is, I believe. Start by cutting the front feet off. I'll try to keep everything in the camera as best I can, guys. The joint on a beaver is right about at the hairline on where the hair and the skin on the foot meet. So just cut through that, cut around it. Give a little twist, pops it right off. Do the same thing on the other side. Come right to the joint. Comes right off. We turn our beaver, and again at the back foot, the hairline is right where the joint is. This is where a lot of guys have troubles on these back legs. I'm going to show you how to, on that other one anyway. This one here had a broken leg. I'm going to show you on that other one how easy they are to take off. Roll our beaver just a little bit here on our turntable. Again, come at the hairline, cut the tail off. You'll notice all that white powder on it. That is nothing but lime that I put on, barn lime, ag lime that I put on the floor here in the shed to keep some of the moisture and it sucks up a lot of the odor in the off season. So there's a little tip for you in the fur shed. Lay that tail back there, we'll skin that later. Again, right here at the hairline, come through, come around on the back side, cut the Achilles tendon. And on the front side, you got to make sure you get those tendons cut. Then, all you have to do is grab that foot like that and just roll. Nothing to it. It'll come right off. Spin our beaver back here. Now we take our utility knife, start here at the upper lip, or the bottom lip I mean, and pull it through. All the while we're keeping that hide pulled tight. And then you just unzip your beaver. Hair gets wadded up, you have to take it out, and then you got to start over again. Come right through the vent, right on through it, hook into it again, and unzip him on down to where his tail is. Now we've got our beaver opened up. Now we just take our beaver knife, touch it up here a minute, make sure it's good and sharp. Now we get a hole here in the middle of the beaver and we just start in. I do not clean skin beaver. I rough them all and then I'll finish them up on the beam. So, just be very careful. Speed will come. The more you do, the quicker you'll get. Just start unzipping him here. Try to stay as close into the carcass as you can, not quite that close, so that you don't cut the fur. Now right up here at the throat, beaver have, okay, a good field dog, a good bird dog has what's called a brush buster right here between their front legs. Beaver have the same thing right here between their front legs, right under their throat. And that thing is plumb full of blood vessels. So if you can stay out of that, number one, you're going to keep your hide cleaner, and number two, you don't have to scrape that. Okay, then when we get to the front leg, we push the bone under with our fingers and roll the hide and just come around it. If you make a big leg hole in him, it's not the end of the world. Nothing bad's going to happen. The sun will still come up again tomorrow, I promise. And you just cut down along it. Just like so. Do the same thing at the back leg. Come around it. Back here at the vent, be very careful you don't get into the casters and oil sacs. Come around the edge of that tail. Okay. That beaver is ready to flip. Now we've got to stand him up. I don't know how I'm probably going to get in the way, guys, of the camera. But you stand that beaver up like that and come up on top of his shoulders. And then keep knifing until you get to the top of his hips. Okay, and once you're up on top of his hips, which we're not quite there yet, but we're gaining, then flip your beaver around and start the other side exactly the same way. Start up here at the front, stay out of that brush buster, come around his head, stop, touch the knife up just a minute. Working our way back. Again, stay in as close to that carcass as you can, so that you don't cut the fur that way. You don't cut the hide. Here's the front leg. Roll it around again. Push that bone back. And across it. That's all there is to that. Very simple, very easy. Back here to the back leg. Around those oil sacks and those casters there at the vent. Back leg same way. Push that bone in, roll that hide around it tight. You can see the leg hole exposed. Now we're right here at his casters and his oil sacks. Here's the oil sack. Take it out. Lay it off there at the side. Do the same thing on the other side. Put the oil sack off. Then get hold of the membrane on the caster and kind of pull. And you just kind of roll them out. Try not to tear them. They are very valuable. We don't want to damage them if we can help it. Roll it out and get that membrane off of there. And there's one side of the caster's exposed. And we do the same thing on the other side. Push and roll. And we have our casters exposed. And there they are. Clean and can be hung up to dry or fresh froze, however you prefer them, however who's buying them from you prefers them. Okay, now we roll our beaver up here on his side. And again, we come to the top of the back, top of the hips. To the top of the shoulders, like so. Now we're ready to turn that beaver, and we're going to start here at his head now. I don't know how well that is going to show up, but you just start up here at his nose, and you work around the head. Roll that nose down, expose the skull. There's an eye. There's the other eye. Again, if you happen to knock a hole in the head, not a big deal. They're not buying their heads anyway. There's the ear. There's the other ear. Now I'm going to have to reposition the camera and we'll start over again. Stay with me. Okay, now that we've got our beaver, the skull exposed here and opened up, then we go to the floor. We take our knife and we cut just below the shoulder blades a little ways. Not very far, but just a little ways. Then hook your finger in his front leg hole, step on the carcass, and pull the beaver off. Just like that. Now, usually, not always, but the best part about this is, and it didn't do it this time, but not a lot of times, by pulling them off like that, that really hard spot right here to scrape will stay on the carcass. Alright, so we got our beaver skin, guys, and I hope it shows up for you pretty well in the camera. It's hard to do this stuff by yourself sometimes. But we're going to let him, he's pretty wet, so we're going to let him hang here overnight to dry, and then tomorrow I'll scrape him and we'll get him boarded, and I can show you that tomorrow. But for now, that's pretty much, that's how I skin my beaver, guys. It's
The more of them you do, the faster you'll get at it. It's not real hard. I appreciate all of you tuning in to watch. If you would, please hit that subscribe button for me. Hit that thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. I'd sure appreciate it. I'll answer them back just as quick as I can. Once again, this is Dale Billingsley with another one. Signing out.